Have you ever met a really intelligent person who didn't really know how smart they were? What was your experience with them? We have a paid summer internship program for juniors and seniors pursuing construction management degrees. 5 years ago we had a young woman who came into the program in her junior year. She was very tiny in stature, and very quiet, but we soon learned, giant in intellect and loud where it counted. The way we operate is each intern will spend 3 weeks on a different project, learning a different role within the organization. 3 weeks on site as a superintendent intern, 3 weeks on site with safety, 3 with project management, and 3 on site with quality control. After each period, I received a call, praising her ingenuity and ability to adapt and improvise in any situation. At the end of the internship, we have a plus/delta review of their performance, and based on that review, we make a determination on whether to offer them a place the following summer. In the case of a senior, we determine if we want to extend them a full-time employment offer. Every review she received from each department all said the same thing: hire her now. We extended an offer for a salaried position, part-time, from that point through her senior year, along with tuition reimbursement. This young lady still amazes everyone every single day. She's 25 years old, making an amazing salary and absolutely dominating any project she's given. If she doesn't know it today, she'll practically be an expert tomorrow. She's incredibly impressive. I can see her having my job one day, operations director. Hopefully, it's after I retire. Criminal defense lawyer here. Had a client who was a low-level drug dealer and gun runner. Most street-level guys have a very different type of intelligence that doesn't translate well to the white-collar world. Many of my clients ask to read case law. I've only met one who could read it, digest it, and discuss it intelligently with me. This guy. He'd do his own research from the jail, which isn't uncommon, but this guy did it well and would actually send me relevant cases that were helpful to the issues in his case, and when I explained to him why some were not helpful, he got it, asked good questions, and used that discussion to inform future research. There are a lot of inmates who consider themselves jailhouse lawyers. This guy was smart enough to actually be one. I think about him a lot and wonder what his life would have been like if he was fortunate enough to be afforded with the same opportunities during childhood that I enjoyed. If you want to read a happier version of this story, take a look at Professor Sean Hopwood at Georgetown Law. The guy, from prison, and with zero formal legal training, penned 2 petitions for certiorari that were granted by the U.S. Supreme Court. Just one cert petition being granted is a huge, career-making accomplishment for any actual/trained attorney, so to have a guy who taught himself the law in a prison law library do it twice is absolutely bonkers. He has since been released, graduated from law school and is now a professor at Georgetown. Just so everyone knows, getting a professorship at Georgetown is a really big deal. Georgetown is a premier law school and is among the T14 law schools. Hopwood could have gone into private practice and could have easily made $500K plus, but he chose to teach instead. I've got a PhD and work in a field where so many people have PhDs that they don't even mention them. To this day, I suspect that the smartest person I've ever met was a kid I taught at a GED learning center in the middle of a pretty rough area of a big city. I've met plenty of people who were exceptionally smart in 1 or maybe 2 dimensions, but this guy was across the board. He'd turn it on now and then, like when we were playing chess, and one time when he made a reference to something in French of all things, and then he'd just kind of smile. Like it was enough to just briefly show the rest of us how smart he was. It was almost like he was a self-aware Will Hunting, not that cartoonishly smart, of course, but very very smart, aware of it, and aware of his station in life. I have absolutely no doubt that if he'd had my advantages since birth, he'd be a rock star in whatever field he was in. But instead I'd see him hanging around a corner store and he may have been a low-level dealer. I have no idea what's become of him, but I hope it's for the best. I taught algebra to inmates briefly and the number of guys who told me they were too stupid to learn math while being able to convert odd measurements between metric and imperial in their heads on the fly was too damn high. I'd like to go back in time and kick all those elementary school teachers who told them they were stupid. Actually, I've run into plenty of racist, CLASist elementary school teachers currently teaching but still haven't kicked them, even though they deserve it. Edit. It was also amazing to see how their illiteracy improved once they finally got a pair of glasses. Even the guys who already had glasses when they got in were often still using prescriptions from 20 years earlier. I just did 7 years and I've ran into a few guys like that over the years. They usually live in the law library and spend years, decades even trying to get back in front of a judge. Most of us respect them and seek them out for help with our own cases, but some do mock those guys behind their backs as being crazy or delusional. I have seen one of those crazy guys get back and it was beautiful. I felt silly approaching them with my peanuts of a case and relatively short sentence while they have been spending hours a day fighting for their lives in the law library. My buddy told me about one of them. Don't be shy, go ask him to help you, he loves any opportunity to over the state. It makes me all the more angry in my state how much more difficult they made it to access law materials. Most places I know no longer let you access hard books, and usually 1,300 guys share 5 computers, some of which are down. Also, I have a ton of empathy for the guys who never had to use a computer until then. I'm pretty well versed on the PC and I had difficulty with the law library system they had. I couldn't find shit or navigate it to save my life. I had a client like this for an unemployment appeal. We talked. It was a complicated case and the first one I had that had the PUA, PEUC, FPUC benefits entangled with regular unemployment. The guy pulled all the case law, news articles, legislation, evidence, cataloged it all and sent it to me. I told him he had basically done my job and I told him he didn't even need to pay me if he wanted to just handle it himself. The hearing was a blast. I walked the employer's witness into a trap and ruined their whole argument, so he was super happy with my work. I know exactly what you mean. I grew up in the hood but made it to university and completed it. But I have definitely seen street guys that no one thinks much about display some extraordinary intellectual feats, like intuitively comprehending entire frameworks that most people struggle to acquire in university advanced classes. These guys are just roaming the world, products of their environments, and you'd never know just looking at them. Definitely unsettling to know that talent is lost like that in our society. Meanwhile, we have buffoons in the highest office of our country who promote misinformation, and governors who deny science. Maybe our society needs to be reshuffled to create a more fair and balanced world. My dad grew up believing he was dumb and would never amount to anything. His teachers all hated him, and the first time he went to university he was kicked out. Around the same time as I started university, my mom finally convinced him to try again to get a higher education himself. He's often said that he's too stupid to go back to school, but he speaks about 6 languages fluently, has so many new interesting history facts that whenever we watch any movie we always have to pause at least 4 times for a lengthy discussion about it, and he remembers more book quotes than anyone I've ever met. He grew up in communist Hungary and East Germany, and he has since then climbed mountains and been scuba diving in the Atlantic among a bunch of other adventures. Whatever the discussion, he's got a story to tell. He's the coolest dad ever. But for as long as I can remember, my family has struggled financially since he couldn't get a job that paid enough. It makes me so happy that he's finally reaching his full potential now at 51 years old, and we're all super proud of him. He dreams of being a teacher one day. He will the best teacher his future students could ever wish for. People who are great teachers without actually being a teacher. I've always thought people who can teach others are incredibly smart because they're aware enough of what they know to present it to others in such a way they can understand it. The guy I used to work with was a phenomenal teacher of all things paints, powder coating, and color matching/blending. He had a real passion for it, and it showed in the manner in which he taught and demonstrated what he was talking about. In saying that, he was also very highly strung and had some mental health issues that held him back from doing great things, and so believed he was an idiot. He wasn't, but no amount of telling him would help. I was always taught that the best way to learn something is to try and explain/teach it to someone else. If you can put the concepts into new words to explain it to someone else, you will have understood it properly, and trying to do so is a great way to embed the knowledge in your mind.